Hey everyone, welcome back to another Flowlab tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create a main menu inside Flowlab. Okay, so if we come down here to game levels, you'll see that I've got a very simple level 1 and level 2. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new level, and I'm going to go ahead and call that main menu. And then these numbers that you see over here, 1, 2, 3, those are the order that the player will see them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the little minus symbol, and that brings it upwards. Click on it again. And so now this is the first level that players will see. So I'm going to click on load, and now here we are looking at our first level. So now, if I come down here and click on layer, you'll see that you have 3 layers. You've got user interface, game world, and background. I'm currently on the game world where most of all of your content and coding, everything like that would go. I'm going to go ahead and click on background. Okay, and it tells you now editing background layer. And then I'm going to click on settings. When I go to settings, it tells you the current width and height of your level. Okay, and so your number is probably going to be a little bit different than mine. You can also, if you were to come up here, you'll see it says on mine, it says 0, -1, 1, -1. By the time you get all the way across here, that would be how many tiles you have going across on the x-axis. And then you have how many tiles going down on the y-axis. And those numbers are the same that you see right here. 18 tiles across, wide, and 12 going up and down on the y-axis. And again, your numbers will be different. So you have to remember that each one of these square tiles is 32 pixels. So for instance, mine is 18 times 32, and that's how many pixels it is wide. And 12 times 32 pixels, and that's what it is high. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and actually create the main menu. So for this, you can use any image editing or painting program. You could create it inside Flowlab, but for this kind of a larger graphic, I recommend using some other kind of a paint program. So since all of my students are distance learning, we're doing everything on the web. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to another website. So this is Pixlr.com, and this is a free photo editor and free painting program online. There's a few out there, but I found that Pixlr is really nice and very quick. So we're going to scroll down here and we're going to choose the Advanced Pixlr E editor. And you'll see that it opens up, and I've got a whole bunch of other images. This is an image here that I created from a previous menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, over here on the left, click on Create New. And they have a bunch of templates here, and these are for things like social media and stuff like that. So again, I'm going to come back here to Flowlab, and I'm going to remember my number is 18 by 12. Okay, so I'm going to come back here to Pixlr, and I need to figure out what's 18 times 32. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up the calculator app on my computer. And again, you can do this on a phone or anywhere else. And so I'm just going to do 18 times 32. And so that's 576 pixels. And that's the width. So I'm going to do 576. And then for the height, I'm going to go ahead and do 12 times 32. And that's 384. Okay, so 384, punch in those numbers. Okay, and then after you've punched in those numbers, you typically want to come down here, and where it says background, you want to activate the background. And it's going to give you, because you see this larger shape right here, that means that white is the chosen color. So you can choose any color you want by clicking on it and choose whatever color you want for the background. I'm going to go ahead and just choose white and click on Create. Okay, so this is it. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a Pixlr tutorial, but also a little bit of a main menu creation tutorial. So I will try to create another tutorial that's just Pixlr related in terms of just getting around and exploring all the tools. But this is going to be kind of a hybrid of hopefully the best of the world, best of both worlds. So over here on the left, we have a lot of our tools. If you're used to something like Photoshop, you'll be very used to these. You basically put your mouse pointer over a tool and it tells you what the tool's name is, tells you what the keyboard shortcut is, and tells you what the tool does. So that's really helpful. Over here on the right, you see it says navigate, and this shows you sort of a smaller version of what your whole image is. So that's kind of a nice, kind of a bird's eye view. You have your layers underneath here. We'll be using those quite a bit. And you have your history, and this lets you basically undo at any point. Okay, so that's really helpful. So I'm going to do the main menu that I'm going to do is really super basic. It's not going to be very pretty at all, but it's going to be super basic. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my first layer over here, and I'm going to click on my paint bucket tool, the fill tool, and every once in a while down here at the bottom you will see that ads show up. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. The ads will show up because this is a free website, so somebody's got to pay the bills. I'm going to go ahead and click on my color picker here. You'll see that we have two circles for the color. The first one, the top one, is your primary color, and this is your secondary color. You'll be using the primary color most of the time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and choose some shade of purple, some sort of deep purple there. And I'm going to go ahead and click, and that's my background color there. You can come over here to layers, and you can name these layers simply by clicking on these three little dots, and it opens up the menu. Or you can right mouse click on the layer and you can go ahead and get the same menu. So I'm going to go ahead and call this BG for my background, just to stay really focused. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the little plus symbol to add a new layer. And 9 times out of 10, you're always going to want an empty layer. Okay, so there's my new empty layer. Okay, so I want some text up here. So I'm going to come over here and click on the big letter T for text. And I'm going to choose Add Text. And it puts in this gobbledygook text. This is called Lorem Ipsum. And I'm going to go ahead and just call this Bones, because that's the title that I think I want to use for my game. And I'm going to select the text and come up here, and you'll see all the different options you can choose. So I'm going to go ahead and choose black for the text color. You can change the size here. You can change the font here. There's a whole bunch, which is really cool. So I'll go ahead and choose that. You can click and drag and move it around. It's nice that when you click and drag, you see that pink line. That tells you that you're right in the center, so that's really cool. You can always double click and edit it. So there's a whole bunch of fonts, and they're all alphabetized. So, have fun with those. Find something that really is the personality of your game. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just put it all in caps. There we go. Okay, so that particular font, there we go. Last but not least, let's see. You can do some settings, so you can change the line spacing, the letter spacing. So you see I can make the letters go a little further apart, so that's kind of cool. I'm going to do that. And you have some basic word processing stuff. So you can make the text all to the left, to the center, to the right. You can make it bold, italicized, all that kind of basic stuff. There's a styles option, so you can add in a colored background and choose whatever color you want. So here's red, and you can see the red background. I don't want a background color. I can add in an outline. So again, I can change the color. So I'll add in a red one, so hopefully you can see it. There we go. Turn that off. You can add in a drop shadow. So again, you can change the drop shadow, but it basically adds it and makes it look like it's sort of three-dimensional. There we go there, and I can change the blur, and I can change some of the different settings. Again, I'm going to turn off the shadow. I'm just going to leave it just a very basic text. Okay, so now I want to add in some basic buttons, right? We definitely want something that says play or start or first, one play or something like that. You can add in more. For this video tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and add in one button just to make the tutorial a little bit shorter. So I'm going to come over here to the left, and I'm going to look for this button right here, which is just called Shapes. So I click on shapes and I don't see anything happening up here. And that's because I need a layer first to put the shapes on. So I'm going to come over here and I have this layer called layer 2. If you don't have a brand new empty layer, click on the plus button and add a new layer. Okay, so I've got layer 2, and now you'll see that with the shapes tool selected, I've got all these different shapes up here selected. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this second one here. It's called the rounded rectangle. And I've got some different settings here, the opacity, the stroke, which is the line going around the shape, and it says the radius is 5, and it says fill. So you'll see that I've got the color purple selected. I'm going to go ahead and choose something that matches the purple. I'm going to go ahead and choose kind of a gold color here, because gold and purple are complementary. And if I go ahead and I drag it out, you'll see that what I get is I get a gold stroke and I get a white fill. And that's because of these two colors over here. So whatever is the primary color, it's going to go ahead and put that as the stroke. Whatever is the secondary color, it's going to put that as the fill. And you can see it's put on this layer right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and undo that. I'm going to change the secondary color to the gold color that I want. I'm just going to click on it down here. At the bottom of Pixlr, it'll show you the colors that you've most recently used. So that's super handy. Okay, so now I've got gold, gold. And I'm going to go ahead and change the primary color to black, just so you can see that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and drag it out. And you'll see I've got both colors going on there. Now, notice that I've got the stroke of 5 and the radius of 5. So the stroke of 5, that's how thick this line is. So if I go ahead and undo that, and I change the stroke to something more, like say 12, you can see that now I've got a thicker line weight there. I'm going to go ahead and change that back to 5, something real simple. Now the radius is, it's these 4 corners right here. So how curved those 4 corners are. So I'm going to go ahead and bump that up quite a bit, and you'll see that I get more of a rounded shape. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. All right, I'm going to finish up here by going back to the text tool, clicking on add text, and I'm going to go ahead and just type in play. Okay, select it, go ahead and change my font, and I'll just go ahead and find something that looks good. Okay. So there's a bunch here. You really want to think when thinking about a font, you really want the font to match your game style. Do you want it to be clean? Do you want it to be heavily textured? So really, each font has a personality, much like many things in life. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just choose. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just choose that one there. I don't know if it's the best font, but I'm going to go ahead and choose it. Okay, so there's my text layer. I'm going to go ahead and click and grab the adjust tool, and I'm going to go ahead and move it up right there. All right, so I could do so much more to this menu. I could draw in graphics in the background here and borders and all that kind of stuff. I can actually put in images, but for now I'm going to keep it really simple. So now I'm going to come over here to File, and I'm going to choose Save. And with Pixlr, you generally want to do 2 saves. So the first save, you're going to come down here where it says File Type, and I recommend that you choose PXD. And that means that all of your layers are going to be saved. So I'm going to change the file name. I'm going to change it to be Main Menu. And it's going to be Main Menu.pxd. So PXD stands for Pixlr Document. And this is the only one of these file types that means that all of my layers are going to get saved. If I save it in any one of these other 3 over here, all of my layers will get squished. So you really don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Download. And it takes about 7 seconds for it to go through. It shows you an ad. Again, it's a free app, so got to go with it. Then you can close it. Now, a PXD is so that you can come back at a later time and do more work. So always save it. It's sort of your master file, okay? So now that I've got it saved, Now I need to save it in a format that Flowlab can understand. And Flowlab can really understand these first two, JPEG or PNG. What's the difference? JPEGs take up a little less space, so that's good because your game will run a little quicker. PNGs will maybe look a little better. So how do you know what to do? I would say start with JPEG, only because then your game will run a little bit quicker. So go with that so your player has a better performance. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call this main menu. And again, it's going to end in .jpg. Now you have some qualities here. What do you choose? Low, medium, high. When in doubt, go medium. Okay, it means it will be a smaller file size, but it will still look quite good. Okay, I'm going to choose download, let it go through its process, and then close this. All right, I'm going to leave Pixlr open, and I'm going to go to Flowlab here. So now I'm going to go ahead. Remember that I am on my main menu game level, and on the layer, I'm on the background layer. Okay, and you'll see why in a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to click in an open spot, create, and I'm going to go ahead and just call this new type menu. You can call it main menu. And I'm going to choose edit sprite. I'm going to choose upload, and I'm going to go ahead and find my upload. So here it is. It is the JPEG. If I click on the PXD file, Flowlab can't even understand what that is. It's like a foreign language to it. It can't understand what it is, and that's because PXD files can only be used in Pixlr. So I'm going to say OK, and there we go, we see it. So that's pretty cool. Now, I could do some drawing and painting in here inside Flowlab, so that's pretty cool, and I can use all the tools over here and do that. I'm not going to right now. I'm just going to click on OK and OK. All right, so now I have this big old sprite. I can click and drag, and I'm just going to place it right here. And because we knew from the game settings, because we knew the width and the height, and if we got it right, everything now fits. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so all I have to do is make this play button here interactive so that when the player clicks their mouse on it, it then takes us to the first level. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to layers, and I'm going to go here to the game world, and I'll show you why here in just a moment. I'm going to click out here and create a brand new sprite, and I'm going to go ahead and call this sprite play. Okay, and you don't need to edit the sprite because we're going to make this sprite invisible, so it does not matter what it looks like. Okay, and I'm going to say okay, and there it is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and click and drag it, and I'm going to place it up here in the top left-hand corner of it. And I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to go ahead and choose clone. And I'm going to go ahead and place it, and I'm just going to do this and just really just cover the play button as best as I can. So basically, this is the clickable zone that the player will be. And you can see I'm going outside the lines here of play. And I'm going to say done cloning. All right, so now I'm going to click on this and choose edit. Now I'm going to go to the behaviors. All right, so first is I want to make it invisible. So right here under triggers, I'm going to choose once. And I've done this in a previous tutorial. So I'm going to say once, and then I'm going to go to logic and math and choose number, and I'm going to leave it at 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to, I'm looking for the alpha. Here we go. Under properties, I'm going to choose the alpha block. And you have to remember that the alpha means transparency. So I'm going to hook this up. I'm going to go from the out to the in, and then right here. So that means that at 0% alpha, those blocks will be invisible once I press play. Okay, so once the player presses play, it will automatically turn that invisible. Okay, so now I want to set up what happens when they click in this area. So I'm going to go back here to triggers, and I'm going to go ahead and choose mouse click, not mouse move, not keyboard, but mouse click. Okay, so I'm going to say mouse click, and I'm going to go to the category called game flow, next level. And on the next level, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to choose level 1. Okay, and on the mouse click, I'm going to go from the down to the go. okay, down, because you want them to press the mouse button down, okay? Okay, so that should be good. Let's try it out. So press OK. All right, so we can still see the blocks, which is really handy. I'm going to press play, and you'll see that the blocks are immediately transparent. Now, of course, you can add in background music here if you want. So when I put my mouse pointer over the play button, nothing happens to my mouse. It'd be kind of cool if my cursor changed to a little hand, but it doesn't. So I'm going to click, and you can see it immediately takes me to level 1. So success. Music is playing. I'm now in my game, and my character can go ahead and do his job. Okay, so that is it. I'm going to go ahead and finish this video. It's a long one. I apologize, but it was a lot of material. So thank you very, very much, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.